when you are actively participating in life, there are just fundamental concepts that you understand. Even if they don't apply to you, you understand because you're participating in life to win. A lot of people are not trying to win in life, they're just trying to survive. They're just participating because they have to, right? And so when I talk about poor men being the romantics, it only makes sense because when you are out in the world doing what you have to do to build a life for yourself, you don't have a lot of time to please other people. You don't have a lot of time for the things that idle people have time for, right? And so I understand, right, that a man who's actively participating in life won't have a lot of time for things that may make me feel good. Should they make time? Yes. But that's not something that they're going to invest in because ultimately that's not what's going to build their foundation, right? And a woman who's ready to win will understand that. If she's trying to pair off with a man, she will understand that. But just like a lot of poor and shiftless and salary capped men are pissed about my theory about poor men being romantics, there are a lot of women who love that conversation. But are you the type of woman who love romantic men? Most of you are, because all y'all do is beg men for dates, vulnerability, and all these things that feel good to you. Y'all talk about money and provision and all these things, but deep down, a lot of y'all would take the romance and the emotional part and leave the money if it didn't matter. Because y'all not really about that life, right? So, and are you the type of woman that a man who's out here getting it would want on his team? Are you that kind of woman? Because women always assume that they are that girl, and you're not. Right? So things work on both sides for men and women. Men and women love a fairy tale. But the difference is women want to believe the fairy tale and men want you to believe the fairy tale. Right? I wrote a post about this earlier. Most women who are married or in relationships will never master themselves because men won't allow you to. Most men cannot take the truth about themselves. They don't want to hear it. Men seek women to escape from life. That's why they want naive women, dumb women, gullible women, right? Young women, because they want to go home to something that's not like the outside, which I'm not mad at, right? And women are more prone to acquiesce to what men want. That's why I don't really trust women in relationships and marriages. They're not really about themselves, because that safety net of a man and a relationship, even if he's not really a safety net, just the idea of having a man gives them that comfort. There is no comfort when you're mastering yourself. So fairy tales serve both people, right? Men and women. Most people are not really going to do much with their lives. Most people. So most people will couple off and just be average and live average lives and not really have. Most men are not going to have a legacy. Most men's last name ain't going to mean anything, right? Most women are going to couple off with those men and they're just going to live average, regular lives, right? Nothing wrong with it. But you got to know and accept what you are setting yourself up for, right? Both men and women want something that they're not preparing themselves for. Men who are established, men whose last name means something, men who have assumed power in the world in whatever capacity, right? Because all men are not going to be rich. All men are not going to be the same. There's going to be different levels. But men who have peaked, right? And have gone beyond. They have done the fucking work and continue to do the work, they have a right to say what kind of woman they want in their lives. They have a right to say, I don't want an overweight woman. I don't want an unattractive woman. They can pick, choose, and refuse whatever they want to pick, choose, and refuse from, because they have done the work and they have a right to say what they want. Now, women don't understand that part, right? They don't understand why they would be rejected by men of a certain caliber. But they do understand when I talk about men not having finances in these things. They understand that part, right? And again, men and women are just two sides to the same fucking coin. Because men, they know deep down that if they can get the best woman that they want, they would try. But they know they can't. Most of them can't. Most of them will never be with like a dream woman. Most of them will just be the regular average face, mid face, below average woman that they have proximity to. Most men. And so women talking about what they want, right, from better caliber men is going to upset them, even though they know that that's real. But they want you to believe that men as a whole will save you, will be your hero. So both men and women are fucking delusional. That's why I don't cater to one side or the other. But when I talk about one side, the other side jumps, on the bandwagon. And then it goes the other side when I'm talking about the other group. Men and both of you are two fucking confused ass people. I wrote a post on Instagram last night and I spoke about my Instagram and when I would post a lot of thirst traps and the men who were able to see me in real life after they lusted after my pictures on the internet. Now, normally, you men don't get to see the women who have a lot of followers in real life. That's not a normal thing for them. And so seeing me online and then seeing me in real life gave them the idea that proximity means access, or that I'm performing for them. That's how delusional men are. They know the kinds of women that they have access to. They know the kinds of women they're married to. They know the kinds of women that they can slide off with. None of them women look nothing like me. Let's really call a spade, right? They know this consciously, but because I'm in their proximity, they think that what I'm doing is for them. And there may be an opportunity because I'm in their proximity. Nothing else aligns up. When they first saw me, I had a Range Rover that my ex-husband bought me. When I met my ex-boyfriend, he had a Hummer, right? The big body ones, not the childish ones. What, the H2, I think? I don't know. But the bigger ones. And he was known all over right? He did things with his life. Why would I go from that to a nigga that don't really got... It doesn't make any sense. When me and my ex-boyfriend broke up, I made a plan for myself for the next 5 years. A part of my plan was to get a Porsche. I'm driving a car that most men dream of that will never drive one. Why the fuck would I perform for men like that? If I was performing for a man, if I was performing for male attention, why the fuck would it be for men that can't even afford what I drive? Never mind everything else that comes with me. And they know the women that they deal with are nothing like me. But again, men are delusional and so are women. And I speak of things like, cars and things that matter to men because that is a standard of measurement. Don't let them lie to you. Men are always competing against me. Men will speed by me and get a fucking ticket because they're trying to prove that their 5 Series BMW is faster than my car. Men do shit like that. So the V makes a difference. Men who can afford luxury cars get it because they know it's a pussy magnet. Right? So you can't even do what I did, but you think my platform is to perform for you? That's how fucking delusional men are. Now, as a woman, if I see that a man has built a nice foundation for himself, a nice couple of things he did with his life. He's known, whatever it is, he has status, power, authority. I can't, a woman cannot expect that you're going to show up looking any kind of way, slovenly, overweight, bad built, credit fucked up, you ain't got shit going on for yourself, you got a bunch of kids. Why would you think that man that built all of that will want you? I always was conscious of stuff like this. That's why I didn't have more children, because I said if I wanted to marry again, I didn't want to bring small children into the relationship. I already got a daughter, but my daughter's 32 years old and she's a doctor. I didn't want to bring an asshole full of debt into a relationship if I decided to get into one. I wanted to come in whole and complete. I understood these things. Why? Because I always been earning my own keep. I was not one of those pretty chicks who just sat there on my hands hoping a man gives me something. My father didn't allow me to think that that's how life went. So I understand that men who can afford to pick, choose, and refuse will pick from the best. So men have to understand that if women can do that, they will. But again, men and women are fucking delusional. If you expect from someone else what you cannot do for yourself, you're out of your fucking mind. Women could play around with that a little bit, because women could show up with nothing and still get the most, the best man in her proximity. But you gotta come with attractiveness. You gotta come with a pleasant attitude, a pleasant demeanor. You gotta be willing to learn. I understand these things that men say. Women say, oh, they want somebody weak and submissive. Not all the time. Weak men may want that. But a man building his own, he don't want nobody coming in to destroy what he got going on. Because, bitch, if you could do it, then go fucking do it. You ain't gonna come in my life and tell me how to do things. I totally understand that. So it's no way that men who have a salary cap that have to wait till payday could possibly think that I'm performing on Instagram for their ilk. Why would I do that? Why would I not perform if I was performing for men, if I wanted men for money? Why wouldn't I do that for a better caliber of men? You gonna go from your wife, from the chick, to me? How is that gonna work? Where we gonna go? I'm gonna put my Louboutins on to go where with you? I'm going to get out of my Porsche to get in your fucking Kia. Like, this shit don't make any sense. But I also understand it from the male perspective. Man bust his ass all his life and do what he need to do. He deserved to come home to something nice. It's just the way that it is. You ain't did shit for your life, you don't get the nice things. That's just life in general. So I don't understand, why is this a hard fucking concept to men and women? It goes both ways, right? But this is a hard pill to swallow for people, because people don't want to be rejected. But if you want what you want, then you got to go out and get it, right? That's how life is.